Welcome to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions. Your host tonight is the author of the Pro-Black Compendium and Zuberi and the Maroons of Ma'at, the Pan-African Nationalist, Oni. Oni, what are we discussing tonight?
Peace. I don't know if y'all know this, but yesterday was the 100th episode of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. No, the Bitter Medicine Podcast of Shoot the Breeze. So it was pretty fun, pretty engaging. Make sure you guys check it out. But today we're going to discuss more of this book. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm already using it. It's a self-help book, right? I'm already using it to improve my life. You know what I mean? I'm already using it. I already see the value and the utility of it in Africa. That's really why you should write. That's really why you should produce anything, really. There's three things, like I always say: life, health, and wealth. Anku Ja Seneb, right? Or Ank Seneb Oja. Those things are really the guiding principle. I don't know how much you guys are familiar with Brother Asar Imhotep, one of the best scholars in America, right? One of the best living scholars in America. And really one of the best scholars, period. But, he's talking about Kimoyo being African spirituality. And he's like, look, Kimoyo is about African spirituality is about improving the life, health, and wealth. And I'm like, that's Uncle Ja Seneb, isn't it? He's like, yeah, that is Uncle Ja Seneb. Just a coincidence. You know what I mean? Because he's studying Congo, and he's like, he's studying the Bantu Congo spiritual system, and he's like, everything's kind of leading to this life, health, and wealth, understanding. Or you could say, let's say, life, longevity, and prosperity. You know what I mean? Like, you're living for longevity and prosperity. But realistically speaking, that's life. It's Uncle Ja Seneb. And so he's like, that's what it is. And it's like, wow, what a coincidence, but that's really where we are as a people. And so, but I realized this too. And I tell you, I got into some interesting drama per se the last few days. And it really comes back to, can you make a good choice? But before we get into that, I want to show you guys, I guess I'll be the second person to show it. I'll show you guys the new bump because we're on KWAZ radio and, you got to represent. This is a nice little change to what we usually show. And, I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you guys check this out. All right.
Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think Black people require too much buy-in. We constantly have to sell Black people on things that are beneficial to Black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what Black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like if you pray to the same deity as like your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to. You know.
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
All right. So, as you guys can see, I was just working on that, the YouTube chat on the sidebar. I was just working on it, honestly. It's like 5 minutes ago, and I didn't get too far. But it is what it is, That said, let's jump into this. I just did some dips. Tell you guys, make sure you guys get a dip bar. Dip bar is just like it's just a good thing, You like, hey, you know what? I gotta play 2 minutes of the commercials. Do some dips. You know what I'm saying? All right. So anyway, so these next few chapters are kind of expanding on my last few books. Okay, so this chapter, I'm going to guess it's number 13. I don't really know the number. But this chapter is going to be about my eye, right? So I said, look, I've written pretty extensively on the subject of my eye already. In the Pro-Black Compendium, I reprinted the Ubenga translation. I can expand on this. And also in the book of Power, I summarize the laws of Ma'at, but can mold it. So I want to maybe I'll show you guys this, because there's really a lot of it is going to be, hey, you know what, I actually already wrote on this stuff. And you just want to expand on the ideas you already wrote on, which is really what you should be doing in your life anyway, kind of expanding on what you've already accomplished. You don't want to keep trying new things. And not to say that I don't try new things, it's just that, but like you want to do this in your life, obviously. Build a foundation. Just keep building on your own foundation. And I think that's actually some pretty good advice. I wanted to include it inside the advice book, but like realistically, that's what it's all about. I mean, and so, like for instance, look at this right here. So I don't know I guess you guys can't see what the top of the screen looks like. Let me see if you can. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, so if you can see on the top of the screen, it says 2012. Okay, it says 2012. So what does that mean? That means that back in like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I read this book and I decided to transcribe what Theophilo Benga put down. So it's to say that, you when you're in your youth, now, how old was I 10 years ago, right? Wasn't even a father yet, right? But in your youth, you build a foundation so that when you're older, you look back on what you've built. You don't remember everything that you've done, but you look back and say, "Oh yeah," and it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of you. So that's what you're supposed to be doing with your life. So this is really, really, really important. This Ma'at, the Egyptian code of cardinal virtues. We actually might need something like this in modern Africa. But you kind of see this is kind of like if the Ten Commandments of biblical value, in a sense, right? If the Ten Commandments actually had some sort of oomph to it, I have given no order to kill. I have caused no pain. I have caused no weeping. I have not killed. I have not stolen the cake offerings of the blessed. I have not copulated with a man. I have not fornicated, right? No gay shit, basically, right? I have biased no scales, right? I have biased no scales nor skewed the needle on the balance. Okay, so that means that if you're in exchange with somebody and you're like, hey, I'll give you 5 pounds for, for $3, and then you keep your hand on the, you keep your hand on the meat, and you give them 4 pounds, right? The my cardinal values. This is so important. Every night, Africans would say to themselves, at nighttime, today I have not done this, I have not done that, I have not cheated in laying out plots of lands. I have not biased the scale. I have not retained water when it was time for it to flow. Like, I've never sabotaged nothing. I spent my day just living a good, righteous life. And they say this every night. Every night. I have not taken milk from the mouth of babes, nor deprived nursing livestock of their fodder. So they're like, look, even when it comes, and that's what I like about this, even when it comes to the animals, they're like, hey, you know what? This is a pregnant mother. Let her be with her child. And you see, like, they're saying this is what good behavior is. And realistically, that's really what my book is about too. And so it's just humbling. It's just wonderful. And I haven't, see, my thing is the reason why I'm putting this in front of you guys is because these notes that I wrote are notes that I have to go back on. Like, I have to say, hey, you know what? Let me go read the Book of Power again in order to write a better book and build upon the foundation I've already built. Right? Let me read the Pro-Black Compendium again. Let me read Zubiri again so I could build that better foundation. Let me read some Garvey so I could build that better foundation. Now, right now, I got to read some other books. Matter of fact, this brother was just telling me, hey, the best book he ever read was this Workers at War or something like that. So I got the PDF, matter of fact, right? So I might have to read that one too, just so that, like I said, you're building a foundation for when you're engaged, like when you're engaging in your personal and practical projects. Look at that. I've not quenched fire burning bright. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh yeah, I ain't never fucked up no shit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's deeper than the quote unquote 10. Because this has, like, it has deeper correlations. Like the 10 that y'all might be familiar with might be, kind of just interpersonal, just, person to person, a bunch of old bullshit, But this one is like, yo, hold on a second. We're going to make it clear. I am pure. I am pure. I am pure. I am pure. And what does purity mean? It means you ain't even cheating animals. Look at this. I have trapped no birds in the reed marshes of the gods, nor caught fish in their ponds. So there are particular marshes, there are particular ponds, there are particular safe havens for animals. I have not stolen the cake offerings of the blessed. Like, this is some good stuff. Not taking the cut from food offerings in the temple. So when you there saying, hey, look, I'm going to sacrifice this food. I'm going to give this food for the ancestors. You ain't take it. I have deprived no craftsman of his property. I have not stolen from nobody. Like, this is good, and so, but like I said, the important thing about it too was that Africans recited this stuff. They understood this stuff. They said, hey, look, every night we're going to do the right thing. Do the thing that contributes to order. And kind of reminds me of, like I said, I had this situation with this sister, Mr. Ice Black Reparation Nations here, greetings. I had this situation with this sister where basically it goes like this. I don't want to go into too much detail, right? But, this is important. Basically what happens is this. There's this nice sister, right? How do you say this story without giving too much information? Basically, long story short, this sister ends up giving another sister some money after this other sister disrespects her. And she's like, hey, the reason why I gave her money was because I thought I'm doing the good thing. I'm doing the nice thing. And I say, look, you don't treat people well who mistreat you. Okay? But the concept of goodness as understood by African people is deficient in the West. So being good means that somebody slaps you in the face and you don't slap the fuck out of them back. You know what I mean? And not on that, oh, well, because they bigger than me or not, because that's understood. If they bigger than you and they slap you, that makes a lot of sense. But if they smaller than you and they slap you, you got to put them in their place. But and not like, put them in their place. But you understand what I'm saying, right? And of course, I'm talking about men, more or less. But all that people of your gender in a sense, right? But my whole thing is this, right? She gives this woman money, and I'm like, well, you can't. And so now I come back to what was written in the Book of Power, or what was written in ancient Egypt, right? What was written in ancient Africa, and what's written, and I use the word written. What was written is, well, I'm gonna say it in Swahili, kind of. Tulinde ma'at tushinde is fet. Okay, tulinde ma'at tushinde is fet. Defend ma'at and defeat is fet. That's what was written. That's what our ancestors said. So it's like, you got to figure out what is ma'at and what is isfet. What is order and what is disorder? What is harmony and what is cacophony? And once you know that, you're not going to start giving to people who cause cacophony. Once you know that, you're not going to start giving to people who cause disorder. Once you know that, you're going to start attacking isfet, not enabling it. Somebody slaps you in the face for no damn reason, that's isfet. All of a sudden, you got to defeat that person. And once you understand your ethical system in that sense, once you understand your ethical system in that capacity, things change. You see what I'm saying? The right thing to do is to defend the order. And the wrong thing to do is to defend the disorder. And now you just have to figure out what's order and what's disorder. So I tell you, I like this because, again, there is value for African people to understand the difference between what is good and what is good by the colonized and unscientific standard, and what is good by the liberated and African standard. Because sometimes your definition of good, it's a matter of fact, I remember it was actually some of y'all boys, Amos Wilson. He said something, I think it was, I picked it on that guy, Halipsism. I don't really like Halipsism. I'm not really, whatever. But I picked it on, he used to start his show with an Amos Wilson quote. And the quote was something along the lines of, why is it that everything that you want to do, right, empowers the white man? Now, why is it that you say you're free to do whatever you want to do, but everything you want to do empowers the white man? And it's like, that's really, like you have to figure out what you want. Like, why is it that you want to do what you want to do? Why is it that, what do you consider good? And why is that considered good? Why is something good if it hurts you? And you ain't doing nothing wrong. Now, of course, if you're doing something wrong, something good might hurt you, obviously. But if you ain't doing nothing wrong, why is something good hurting you? But I'm just leaving it right there. Like I said, shout out to the chat. So one important fact about the Obenga translation is how Africans would recite this cardinal virtues nightly. As a spiritual system, a nightly recitation and daily recognition produced a lifelong moral people. As Africans looking for a better existence, this is a good practice. Okay? That's a good practice because that's what we're doing. Right? Now we go to the meat and potatoes. Right? Obviously, the highlight of the Book of Power is the concept of Boko Waset Nakeru. Who understands that but the people who read the book? Nobody. Okay? So make sure you guys go get the book. All the same, I'm going to expand on that idea. So how do we expand on this idea, particularly in the light of this idea of self-help? Right? So we got chapter Boko. Okay? So this Boko, it's like, this is another concept written about in the Book of Power. In essence, we call it a community center with a primary focus on youth education to adult education, right? So you think about the church, you think about the mosque, or you think about the synagogue. This remains a hard institution to build, but it's necessary. Every other people have community centers. There's this sister. I used to support my website. So back when I had, like I said, this website 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this nice sister used to actually, donate to my website. Appreciate her to this day, obviously, right? That said, she told me, oh yeah, she lives upstate New York, right? She tells me, I think it was, I don't know if they were Dominicans or something, Guineans, something like, I don't know what it was. No, not Guineans, but some sort of Latin American group. There's a nice upstate neighborhood, I think where she lives, where these Latin Americans, right? They come in and make a community center. Now, maybe like 3 of them show up. Through this community center, they start bringing in more and more people, right? And eventually start owning a bunch of businesses that used to be black owned. Start buying up property that used to either be black owned or white owned or whatever. And eventually they now have a thriving community in that space. And it all comes back to they met every week. They met every week to organize their political, economical, and cultural situation. And meanwhile, black folk were sitting on their hands waiting for a damn check from the government. Black folk will sit on their hands waiting, like, why are we so poor? And this is why it's so critical that this is the second most critical institution that you have to go and develop. Third, in fact, I'll say third. I don't know. Let's just say second. This is the second most critical institution that you have to develop. Should I say no? Sorry, let me say first. Right? The reason why I was saying second was because I was like, you got to get land first, but that's not an institution. The institution is the BOCO. You make a community center where you can organize a people, right? Where you can organize a community, right? You got it. You done won. I break this down. In fact, one of my favorite podcasts, right? I break it down in one of my favorite podcasts. How the church is so successful. Like I said, I went to Ghana, and the sister, everybody at Sunday was like, oh, it's church time. Okay. So I asked one of these young sisters, I said, hey, where's the pastor live? And she goes, oh, one of these big houses. I'm like, no. So she's like, oh, he lives, 2 blocks away, right? Now they live in dirt road and little shacks for bedroom, like little shacks for houses, right? And I'm like, where the pastor live? They're like, oh, he live good. Okay, I'm like, does he live rich? Does he live poor? He live good, right? And it's really simple. If you take 10 people and say, give me 10% of your money, right? You have a congregation of 10 people. You say, give me 10% of your money. What percent of the average income does the pastor get? If you get 10% of everybody's income, of 10 people, you get 100% of the average income. Tax free. Straight up. You understand? So if the average income of 10 people is all right, so in America, let's say, even if it was just $25,000, you got that's not a good money for an American, right? But let's say even if you just made $25,000, right? 10 people make $25,000. Those 10 people are broke, but they give 25%. That means, and that's like, I'm saying on average they make $25,000. But let's say they all make $25,000 just for ease, right? On average, they're giving $2,500 each a year. 10 times 2,500 is 25,000. Okay, so every year this pastor is getting $25,000 from 10 people who make $25,000. So even though they all broke, he gets $25,000 without working. Okay, without putting in the 40 hours and nothing, he gets the $25,000, and that's just for 10 people. Now, when the church got 20 people, he gets $50,000. He gets twice as much as the average of everybody, right? If the church has 30 people, he gets 3 times as much. 40, 4 times as much. Now, the congregation is 300 people. Okay? And again, I'm talking about not like 300,000 people. I'm talking about the people. Not saying everybody, because obviously the kids are not going to be putting anything in, right? But for the adults, the average income, right? So even in the case of you got 300 people just praying, oh, yes, thank you, and then they all put in 10%, right? Even if they broke. The point is that you get in for 300 people, 30 times the average. Now you can do things with that income, right? But that's the whole point. Now you have BOCO, right? Now other people, they do stuff with this income. The church man might say, you know what? Because like you see those mega churches, they got 4,000 or even 40,000 people. So yeah, you got 40,000 people. You got to be fucking rich. Now you can do things with that income though, and this is why. This is the reason why BOCO is so hard is because you have to be able to tell people, oh yeah, put 10% in. And that's going to be harder because in the church, it makes a little sense. You put 10% to go. No, it doesn't really make any damn sense. But if you were fooled into thinking that you could you could buy your way into an afterlife, then sure. But me personally, I'm not going to tell nobody you could buy yourself into a good, mansion in the afterlife. That don't make no damn sense. But what I could tell you is that you can buy yourself into a good life today. Cause see, here's what another thing that people don't realize. If the government is taking on average, let's say on average, I don't know. But let's say on average the government is taking 30% from even a larger amount of people, that's where the money's gonna be coming from. That's why the government's so damn rich. So what you have to do is you're not going to do 30% from a community standpoint. Or maybe you can. If you can pull it off. Whatever you could do, you should do. You know what I'm saying? But like if you could do it, might as well, right? But the point being that if you get 30%, if you get 10%, no, sorry, the government gets 30%. That's why it could do what it do, right? And it got a bigger congregation than any individual church. But you as a small community, you could also get 10%, right? And then you could do what it do. All right, that means that you can start contributing towards the youth education. You can start contributing to the adult education. You can start contributing to the entertainment around the area. You can start contributing to the businesses around the area. You can start contributing to the to the economy. You can start contributing to the the politics. You can start contributing to the culture in your own way. And of course, I absolutely intend to expand upon this in this upcoming book. But of course, if you look in the Book of Power, you'll see that there's the chapter that explains BOCO Waset Nakero is the best motherfucking chapter. If you're wondering why the Book of Power costs so much money, right? And it don't cost that much money, but if you're wondering why it costs so much money, you gotta you ain't read that essay yet. Okay, you ain't read that essay yet. That's the problem. But my thing is this: if you can build something like this, a BOCO, or if you can contribute to a BOCO, yes, your people can go far. If we, as a people, think about making community centers that develop our communities, because that's what every other people are doing. Like I said, sometimes I walk by these European Jews coming from their community centers. Sometimes I walk by, like for instance, there's this little house that has like a billboard on the outside. And so all these people are just, all of them just kind of walking in there. I can't remember what day were they walking there. I think it's probably like Saturday or something, or Sunday, I don't know. But they walking into this building, and I hear them coming out, and they talking economics. Oh yes, my son is working at so on and so forth. If your son is interested in working here, you should and you realize that when you're meeting up once a week, right? And you're listening to people talk, and you're engaging people, you can start to develop a system of trust or distrust. You can start developing a system of discernment. It's kind of like if you guys come to Shoot the Breeze. On Shoot the Breeze, you can start picking out who's the good people and who's the bad people, who you would like to work with and who you don't want to work with, based off of how they're speaking. And even to Shoot the Breeze. Now, the only problem I have with Shoot the Breeze, and I don't really have a problem with Shoot the Breeze, but the only problem I have, or the reason why I'm comparing it, or the reason why I'm bringing it up is to say this. What if it was local? You understand? What if it was in your community, in your space, your family was right next to their family? Then that in and of itself, that's what you want to build too. Like digital is good, you know, but see the trouble is this. Like let's say I like my brother from another mother, Bwana Agaziki, right? I like Bwana, right? But he's in a whole other country, so yeah, we could probably coordinate, we could probably cooperate on an international scale, but I don't even have my economy up to that international scale as yet. So I can't really do that. But when you're in a local situation where you're like, hey, you know what? We actually need more teachers in the community, right? If Bwana was there, I'd be like, Bwana, you need to be a teacher. Whereas, there's some other, some of them, you know what I'm saying? There's some people I don't like on shoot the breeze. You understand? Which you'll be like, if they're like, I want to be, I can be, you're like, no, fuck you, don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. Matter of fact, one of these motherfuckers I don't like is actually a teacher. So you tell them, no, actually, we full. You know what I'm saying? but that's the whole point. When you meet in the community, and you can address it as a community too. And I think, and we talked about that last week. You can, if you're in a community, you can now all of a sudden start addressing the families. Start addressing the behavior going around. You know? But if you don't have a community center, you can't. And that's where everything kind of falls apart for us as a black people. You know, particularly us in the West. But my point being that all of a sudden, what we have to do is that now we have to expand upon the good concepts of the past and move forward. And just to tie it all together, I want you to understand that one of the reasons why Marcus Garvey was so successful, because we Garveyites, right? One of the reasons why Marcus Garvey was so successful is because he used to build a Liberty Hall. One of the reasons why, and of course, everybody knows why the church was so successful. Oh, well, shit, not the church. Why the Christians were so successful, because they built the church. Why the Muslims were so successful, they built the mosque. Why the Jews were so successful, they built the synagogues. And why Marcus Garvey was so successful, why the Garveyites were so successful, because they built the Liberty Halls. When you build an institution for people to come together and congregate and talk serious and be serious, that's where you make a difference. Because again, Kwame Ture told us, the Klan meets up every week to discuss their philosophies. That's why they better. That's why they better organized than the African Americans. That's why. And even the U.S. government meets up. U.S. government meets up every day. If you don't meet no time, of course, when the children is running loose, you don't even know who their parents are. So yeah, we're gonna do the Boko. You already know. Mr. Ice Black says, what should be the correct way the temple church manage? Money should be managed. Like I said, there was one of these like my favorite passage in look, I'm not a fan of the blueprint for Black Power. I'm not. But there are some nuggets in there. Okay? So I'm not recommending people read it. I'm just saying that, like the reality is this. Almost every book has its nuggets. Even if you don't like it in its entirety. So if you have the time, you could read you should read anything, right? Anything nonfiction. Actually, even fiction. Who cares? But so one of the things in that book was he was like, look, there's a story of this church who their congregation was on welfare. Okay? Their congregation was on welfare. They had food stamps. Right? Food stamps. They didn't even make enough money to have food. Some of them didn't even have no money. They put the food stamps and the food vouchers and the little bit of money they had into the pastor's congregation, into the pastor's whatever. The pastor then uses that stuff like nothing to then make a grocery store. Uses that stuff to then build let's say a laundromat or something. Basically ends up owning several businesses in the community off of just a little bit of money. And this is why, like this is one of the lessons I learned from what happened with this woman, is that money management. And this is why I plan on teaching inside of the Book of Power. This is what not the Book of Power. It's the next book I write. Right, money management. And this is what Marcus Garvey was talking about in his lesson 10 of lesson to the people, a message to the people. Right, what money management is the key. Because if you can take your little food stamps. If 10 people take their little food stamps, put 10% of your food stamps. 10% you can then open up a grocery store. And it's not in the words of not my ancestor, Marcus, my ancestor Alton Maddox. It's not what I think, it's what I know. You could do this if you just manage your money. But the trouble with our people is this: we don't like to manage our money. Like I said about this sister who gave money to some other sister, right? The reason why it was so bad is because this sister who gave the money don't have no money. It is perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine to give away your money. Perfectly fine if you have it. Marcus Garvey says, look, you give away money if you have money to spare. This woman didn't have no money to spare. So then all of a sudden I'm like, shit. You're going to be poor your whole life. You're going to be poor your whole life. Now, when we talk about, you can give away 10% of your food stamps. Let's say if the food stamps is enough for you and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like a little extra for you. 10 people give away 10%, then there's a whole other person that could be fed. And then some. A whole other family that can be fed and then some. So you then sell that 10% for a profit, and then you come back with, 150% or something like that. Right? You keep doing that, you go in places. Off of no money. So what could you do with money? Come on. So much you could do. How much money should the Temple Church management get? How much money should the Temple Church... Yeah, I mean, look, I think, like I said, so the book is really about choices. So I feel like it's whatever you choose. Whatever you choose. If you... But that's why it comes to the church and so, like... So I think I'm going to talk about... I don't know if I talk about it yet. No, I think it's going to be in the Keru section. But like literally, realistically speaking, leadership should have money. Leadership should have money, but it should be that you're getting paid for a certain service. So you should be improving the life, health, and wealth of your congregation. Or you should be improving the life, health, and wealth of your community. And if you're doing that, nobody cares how much you take. Because you're making improvements. And obviously it should be significant improvements, so you shouldn't take all of it. You shouldn't be like, well, look, I done put a shovel in the ground, so give me all your money. You know what I'm saying? It's an improvement. There was no shovel there before. You shouldn't do that. But at the same time, it's like at the same time, it's like $1 billion comes by your face, and you put in $950 million. Right? Nobody gives a shit if you took away $50 million. If you put in $950 million of development that then led to a $3 billion surplus, nobody gives a shit if you took $50 million. And that's what I'm saying. Like, black folk love to give a shit about if somebody got paid a good amount of money for making a much more good amount of money. They're like, yo, man, shit, why the CEO get $25 million for bringing in $3 billion? Because he brought in $3 billion, you know what I'm saying? Or he or she, right? But they brought in $3 billion. What you expect? I'm going to bring in $3 billion and not get $25 million? What you talking about? You might be like, well, the worker did not bring in that one worker did not bring in $3 billion. The person who brought in $3 billion was the person who closed a deal with China. You know what I'm saying? The person who closed a deal with Germany. That's the person who brought in $3 billion. So yeah, you get a $25 million. Because otherwise they're going to say, well, look, if this other person want to pay me $30 million, I'm going to go there. If the other person want to pay me $10 million, I'm going to go there because you want to give me $500,000 for getting $25 million. Or for getting $3 billion. You want to give me $5,000, you want to give me $50,000. Be like, you ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You want to give me $50,000, the other person's going to value me a little more. This is what we call, what they call it? Supply and demand. You know what I'm saying? When you are the individual in demand, right, you're going to get more of the supplies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's it. Well, you the individual in demand. Like before that Apple guy, I can't remember his name, but before that Apple guy passed, obviously if I made a company, now I'm not saying I would hire no white boy, but what I'm saying is this. I'm not saying I wouldn't hire no white boy. I'm just saying I wouldn't have white boy leadership, right? But let's pretend I'm a white man, right? Or let's pretend I'm a white man, right? If I have a tech company, right? A startup tech company, I would like this guy as a CEO. I would like that Apple guy as a CEO. I don't remember his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I would like him as a CEO. Because what he did with Apple, right, he could probably do with my company. You see what I'm saying? So, all of a sudden, let's say if Apple was like, look, man, you're just a worker. I'm going to pay you I'm going to pay you $50,000, right? Because you're just a worker, right? Then obviously all I got to do to poach him is pay him $100,000. So instead of Apple paying him $50,000, Apple pays him $200,000. But if I said to myself, look, I could afford $200,000 if this is what he could do to me. So I could pay him. So that's why he's getting paid so much from Apple. Not just because he built it, but because he's in a position where he don't. I mean, obviously he built it, so he's a little more loyal to the Apple brand. But he don't gotta be loyal. If you want people to be loyal to you, give them supplies. You know what I'm saying? If you want the people that are in demand, give them supplies. And that's not how you really use supply and demand, but I'm just going to use it here because you know what I'm saying, right? So, Mr. Icy Black says, how do you define the black community? See what I'm saying? I don't even do that. I don't even do that. When I say community, I'm talking about a group of families working together. Okay? I'm talking about a group of families working together. And that's the problem with this digital world. Because, see, that's what every other people are doing. Like I said, I sometimes pass through a Euro Jew area, right? And what happens is this. I think it's on Saturdays, right? All of the women are outside with the kids. All the men are in this little building talking, discussing. And they're not just bullshitting. They're not partying and bullshitting because the women's not there. They seriously engage in each other about the future of their community. You understand? Every week. Every Saturday. And I see them on 2 eyes. They got the boys, all that. Every week. No women, no children. Right? But it's a local group. It's a local group. We are online right now because we want to reach more people and teach more people. But if you're talking about community, you're talking about a group of families getting together for nationalistic purposes. You understand? Or for purposes of their families. Making all their families get better. Right? So the brother says, are mixed race people part of the black community? So again, it comes back to where you are. That's why I say one of the most important things you got to do is pick a land. Right? See, that's the thing. Like Mr. Icy Black is Mr. Ice Black is in England, UK. Right? The trouble with, and see, I'm in America right now. Right? Trouble is that we in white nations. So the question of mixed races and all that kind of stuff comes up a little bit more, right? What we have to be in is in black nations. You know what I'm saying? Or there are there's majority of African people are in black nations, right? And I'm not saying there's no race mixture, but the point is you want to have a home in Africa and have a community in Africa, and if you and what you want to do is build a community center in Africa. And when you build that community center in Africa, who you allow into that community center, who you allow into that community space should not include the people who are mixing, the misogynists. You understand? Now, if you happen to have somebody who's already mixed, and they want to be a part of your community center, that's for your community center to decide. I usually weigh against it, but again, if you're in the middle of Africa, it's probably like they're probably not. I don't know to what extent they're working for this white boy. You know what I'm saying? Like in America, they working for the white man. Obviously, if you're in Africa, I don't know to what extent they are connected to this white boy. Usually, if somebody is mixed, they're either abandoned by their white parent or they're or if nothing else, their white parent just contributes financially every once in a while, if that's the case. I don't know, but it really comes down to, you know, like kind of like you almost want to look at it on an individual basis. Generally speaking, obviously mixed people are mixed people. They're their own people group. But again, like when I was in Africa, the amount of mixed people and the amount of white people you could see, you can count on your hands. Unfortunately, white does have value. Mixed may have value. I don't know, but like it's very like it's like I wouldn't even get caught up in it. You don't have to get caught up in it. It's not as predominant as it's not so predominant that you got to lose sleep over it. You know, you almost have to go looking for it for it to be something, and in which case it's very easily avoided. You know what I mean? If I want to go my whole day in Africa not seeing white folk, that's easy. Like that's very, 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 very easy. You know, the place where I lived, I ain't seen no white people. Like I ain't seen no white people. So it's not it's like it's almost like and again, like, you know, Africa is huge. It's huge. So just like in so like UK is tiny compared to Africa, obviously. But just like in UK, you could, if you were white, just go somewhere and not see any black people. You know what I mean? Like you probably see most of the black people in London or something, right? But you could just go somewhere, you know, inside the interior or what have you, and just not see any black people. Right? That's the same in Africa. Like if you really have some issue with mixed people or white people, if that's really like you could just you could get lost in the sauce and see nobody. And so he says, what people would you exclude from the black community? Now again, so I mean you wrote this all before I explained the community thing, but community is just a bunch of good families. So you would exclude the families that you don't want in the community. You understand? You would exclude the families you don't want. You know, so if the kids are really on the fuck shit, you could just say, you know, as a community, we ain't having it. You know what I'm saying? As a community, we could boycott. We could, you know, we could make these people miserable. We could deny them services. We could, you know, you could do all sorts of shit if you exercise power. You know what I mean? So you know, I've been seeing some like I don't know how, but you know, that boy Elon Musk took over Twitter. So you know, I used to be active on Twitter. Well, I'm pretty active. I ain't gonna hold you. And you see a lot more white nationalist stuff, you know, and they have a bunch of black youth who are just on some fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? That said, yeah, you like those particular youth and their families, you wouldn't rock with them. You know, no matter how dark they are, you wouldn't rock with them. Now, as far as, you know, let's say if you're talking about people that are not black, it depends on, like I said, like it depends on the family. It depends on what they contribute. If they contribute some, like let's say if it's a Indian man who's a nuclear physicist devoted to you know, Africa becoming a nuclear power, right? Maybe you might say, okay, well, you know, what do you got for me? You know what I'm saying? Maybe. You know what I mean? The chances and the likelihood of that happening, you don't know. I don't know. I ain't run into no nuclear physicist, period. Well, except for when I was in college, but I ain't run into nuclear physicist, period, let alone a nuclear physicist who's devoted towards, let's say, Tanzania becoming a nuclear power. I ain't run into that. But in the case, like, if you happen to see a fucking leprechaun, then sure, maybe you might say, well, it's a fucking leprechaun. But generally speaking, you know, if the dude's just there to, you know, party and bullshit, you don't need them. You don't need nobody who's just about partying and bullshit. You know, I'll say it this way. So, like I said, there's two women that, no, let's say that there's women, women who will chat with you, right? Or there's women who will chat, like let's say in my case, right? There's women who will tell you, hey, tell me, Oni, I want to have your babies. I want to have a family with you. I want us to have all our kids and live a good life together, right? And that's what they'll say. And that sounds fine, right? And then there's women who say, Oni, I want to read the books you contribute. I want to build a community. I want to build a nation with you. I want to, you know, we have these kids and we'll make community centers and so. You know, that's another woman. Now, one woman is like, hey, look, we just gonna have sex, and we're gonna have children, and pretty much I'm gonna provide for the children, right? But you gonna provide for the children, and we're just gonna have a good life together. And the other woman's like, hey, look, we're gonna develop the country, right? We're gonna develop, let's say Tanzania. We're gonna do that kind of stuff. The point is this: that even in that circumstance, which woman do you let into your family? You let in the one who's about building. And you exclude the woman who's just about sex. Or who's just about family building. Like, a family building is good, but if but we are nation builders. So the question of who do you exclude from this community of families, you exclude the people who ain't about that nation building. That's it. That's it. And then all of a sudden you have a community of nation builders. That's where shit comes. That's where things become a reality. So I say this right here, and actually it's right here. It's right here. It's no freaking thing. Technically, I'd say even this: if you're looking to find a partner in life, that partner should share your vision of a boko or joining a boko. So you want to join a boko, like basically, like obviously you don't want to. Like, most women are gonna be like, I want to join the mosque. Oh, I want a man who goes to the mosque with me. Now I'm going to join the mosque, or I'm going to join the church. I want a man who's going to join the church with me, or I'm going to join the synagogue. I want a man who's going to join the synagogue with me. And obviously the same for the man. I need a woman. I need a good God-fearing woman to go to church with me, right? That's already trash. No disrespect. You want a woman to be like, hey, I want to go to a boko. I want to go to the boko with you. I want every Saturday or every Sunday, whatever day. I want every week that we go together, we meet with the women. I meet with the women in my community. You meet with the men in your community, right? And we take care. We take care of how we gonna develop our nation, our national, like not just our nation, our race. Every week. That's the kind of woman. That's the kind of people you want in your community. And everybody else was like, I don't give a shit about community. I just want babies. I just want to fuck. I just want to drink. I just want to smoke. Okay, well, go fuck, drink, and smoke elsewhere. In fact, and look, me even saying that, y'all might not even know this, so I'm going to show you this. Y'all might not even know this. Me saying that, I just want to drink, I just want to fuck, I just want to smoke. Look at this. So where did I get this community, where did I get this Boko language? It was from this book by Fukiao, right? Fukiao. So I wrote this 2013. This is what I was talking about. You got a thing. So Fukiao writes this book with a bunch of community center, but he talks about community center. He talks about the Boko, right? So you see, this is his name right here, Fukiao, right here. In African cosmology of the Bantu Congo, tying the spiritual knot, principles, so on and so forth. And look at this. There actually is a proverb on, let's see, eat. Okay, so it's right here. Very important. Look, pay attention to this. Dia ya mwa wala balala bantu gulwa wala kuzei boko. And she has boko right here, right? But look what he says. Eat, drink, and then sleep, for you ignore how the village was built. Just watch and see. Don't be involved in fundamental social issues of cultural and systematic discrepancies. Do I need to see that? Do I need to read it again? Obviously, I'm not going to butcher the Congolese. But eat, drink, then sleep. Like if all you want to do is eat, drink, and fuck, right? And ignore how the village was built, or ignore the process of building up our village and building up our community, then do that. Just watch and see. Shut the fuck up. Don't go to the community center. Don't be involved in fundamental social issues of cultural and systematic discrepancies. Don't do that, because all you want to do is fuck, eat, and sleep. And that's some women, some men. So what are you talking about excluding people from we already had that. This is not me. Again, I reprinted this 10 years ago. But it's not me who wrote this. This brother Fukiao. He wrote this. What year did he write this? Of course, I need to y'all need to lock, like, shit. If I get locked up, I'm gonna understand. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't put the date. Let's see. We're gonna try to Google. I don't like to Google just randomly, but usually Google don't put no nothing old bullshit on the screen. Now my internet going slower than a mofo, so I can't even say. But anyway, my point is that he probably wrote this book, let's say 1980, 1970. I don't know, 1960 possibly, but I don't know, right? On top of that, these are not quotes that he made up, right? These are not quotes that he made up. These are quotes that were circulating around the Bantu Congo for hundreds of years. Okay? He said, in the small area of Maninga in Lower Congo, students of Layu Lungunu Iwa Kumba Nsi Institute collected more than 1,500 proverbs and proper nouns in a short time. Right? So he's like, look, they collected them under direction between 1964 and 1973. Right? He collected them. That's what I'm saying. So this is not only saying, hey, you know what? Shut the fuck up. You ain't in the community. We don't need you in the community center. Right? This is just, this is me being an African and thinking like an African saying, you ain't no fucking good. And it's not even me. I'm not saying it. This is our ancestors saying it. I want y'all to see that. I want y'all to see that. I want you to see that it's not me. It's not. Okay? Anyway, so let's go. Let's keep going though. So I say no shape exists without a center. Ergo, no community exists without a community center. And that's why every successful people have it. Every other successful people have community centers. Okay? Every other, they have their churches, they have their mosques, they have their synagogues, they have their temples, they have their this, every other people have this space for adults to get together and make sure that the community is on the right track. Now, we abuse this system. Other people don't. We don't have to abuse it. Again, you have a choice. That's the premise of this book. You have a choice. So get to it. So let's go. Chapter Waset. So it says, if Boko is youth education, Waset is adult education. Again, these are concepts introduced in the Book of Power. The only thing I'll add is that we can do formal and informal adult education and expand on the curricula we read about earlier. So in the Book of Power, we talk about a curriculum. We talk about how to educate our adults into various subjects. Earlier today, somebody put on the my brother from another mother put on the on the Discord how they were manufacturing electric buses in Uganda. And the reason why they could manufacture these electric buses in Uganda, right, was because maybe I can even show you guys this. But the reason why they could is because this brother from the university. Right? This brother from the university taught his students engineering. And so after teaching them students engineering, they took their education and decided to build 6 buses for Uganda. Okay? They decided to build 6 buses for Uganda. I'm about to retweet it just so that y'all could see. It's from Watermaya. So obviously I might as well say. And I'm just going to skip through, obviously. I'm just going to show you guys the last scene. So let's see if I can open up the profile. I just retweeted it on my phone. You know how we do. But look, this is a bus made by Ugandans. I'm not even gonna play the volume for whatever reason, but you see they're constructing it, so on and so forth, and then they're gonna say, look, he's gonna come to this.
I started with these are my children.
Oh wow.
Okay.
It started in Makerere University. Look.
It originates from Makerere.
Makerere University.
Okay, these are my children.
Oh wow.
Okay. Because I started with them from my classroom. Engineering, mathematics. I'm told you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
So I taught engineering.
That's it. So what I'm saying is this. You go back to the book. You have your adult education. No, you have your youth education and you teach them these sort of skills, obviously, but you have your adult education and you really teach them these sort of skills. And when you do that, right, people with education can now all of a sudden do whatever, like they're enabled, they're empowered to do whatever. Like take me for an example, right? I get an education, right? Now all of a sudden I could write books, I could write programs, I can, well obviously I could do mathematics, I could do mathematical apps, I could do, like there's so many things that I could do now because I was given some skills that not everybody has. Now obviously you might say, well you're not doing all that, blah, blah, blah. You could be a hater, but the point still stands. Right, and obviously I didn't get into McCarry into university, nor did I have an engineering degree. But my point being, and here's what's interesting about this too, right? When you're looking at the video, they said they don't even, they use all the materials that I had. They use the raw materials and they process it themselves. Now there's a drawback, obviously. The drawback is, they're constructing these vehicles by hand. And, you'd want them to construct them by machine. But regardless, they're constructing it. Regardless, they're constructing it. And so my point is, yeah, if you all of a sudden have that first institution of youth education, you have that second institution of Makerere University, that Waset, that adult education, it's a wrap. Your people are that much more improved. Your people are that much more improved. And the next chapter is going to be why. Why are the people more improved? So we're going to talk about chapter Keru. Okay? Chapter Keru. Now let me see the comments. By the way, appreciation to Mr. Ice Black for those questions. Those are really good questions. Make sure you guys continue to ask more questions because like being able to expand on questions is really it's really helpful for even this book process. It's really helpful even in this book process. Because, I'm not even thinking about who to exclude, But it's an important question. And I was able to tie in, some of our ancestral wisdom through that question. You see what I'm saying? But let's keep going. Say chapter Keru. So realistically, some people... So before I used to say Keru are elites, right? Elites versus commoners. A lot of people don't like the elites versus commoners language. And that's fine. So look at this. Keru. Realistically, some people... So here's what it is. So we are talking about choices now. So the book is about choices, right? So what are choices but decisions, right? And now the question becomes, who should make the good choices and who should make the good decisions? And it goes back to this power over here. Eat, drink, and sleep if you ignore the village, how the village is built. Don't make decisions. Do not make decisions. Just benefit from them. Just benefit from the decision. So this is the choice. It goes back to the choice. Goes to the decision because the thing that we don't realize is that much of our life is based off of choices. Most of our life is based off of choices. What we choose to do, what we choose not to do, and that's how you can judge a person based off of the choices that they make. Right? Based off of the choices that they make. So much of our life is about decisions and choices. And so you can choose to just eat, drink, sleep, and ignore how the village is built. And that's fine. That's fine. Just benefit. Just benefit. We're okay with that. I'm okay with African people living better lives and not making those decisions. But the people who are making the good decisions need to be good people. And that's what Keru's about. So he says, realistically, some people should make group decisions and some people shouldn't. The people who should make good choices. The people who don't need not. You don't need to make good choices if all you do is drink and sleep and fuck. You don't need to make good choices. If you want to lay around with and obviously there's a limit to how many bad choices you could do, obviously. But if you want to lay down with I don't know. I don't want to say nothing too grotesque, but let's say you just want to lay down with a bad woman. Okay, you a man, you want to lay down with a bad woman. That's fine. Good for you. You know what I mean? Like you want to lay down with the woman that ain't nobody else going to try to lay down with. That's good for you. You know what I mean? You want to go down on the person, like this dude was talking. Some dude was saying that he was messing with a woman, and I think it was on Twitter. Twitter just a bunch of dumb shit come on Twitter, but on Twitter it's like, what's the most embarrassing sex story? And he said, look, I went inside this woman, and 20 seconds later, I had to pull out, and I was like, "Oh, girl, you ain't ready. You ain't ready for this. You ain't ready for this." He ain't. You know what I'm saying? He was so embarrassed. He just pretended like he was like, you ain't ready, and he just walked away. And so then somebody else said, "Man, you don't know that you're supposed to go eat. You're supposed to eat. Where you're supposed to have a treat. You're supposed to be a cunning linguist." And he was like, "Oh no, she's a roller." Now I don't know what a roller is, but apparently it's DC slang for oh no, she's been around. And so you don't go down on nobody's been around. But what I'm saying is that if you want to make that dumb choice to go down on somebody who's been around, right? I don't give a fuck. But if you are a leader, don't. You know what I'm saying? You're a leader. You don't better around no go around. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look. Somebody gonna look at me, but we practice what you preach. I know. I gotta say, this is a different culture, man. All right, but anyway, so realistically, some people should make group decisions. Some people shouldn't. The people who should make good choices. The people who don't need not. Formerly touted as elites, in many ways we can determine them as leaders and assign a code. Okay. So the Pan-Africanist agenda then isn't so much to universalize a code of ethics as much as to propagate a code of conduct among leaders. See, our agenda now is to propagate a code of conduct among leaders, particularly family, community, national, and race leaders. Where they come from is a formal system we should set up. That's the details in the book. Okay? So all of a sudden now we have to, and now it really comes to us analyzing what does a family leader mean. Sometimes you with a woman, and a woman's like, hey, you know what? You're the leader, I'm the follower. That's fine. But here's another thing too. Here's another thing that's interesting. She could be a leader in her own sphere, and you could be a leader in your own sphere. It's really about delegation of responsibilities. Like for instance, let's say I want a woman who let's say I want a restaurant in Africa, right? I could say, hey, you know what? You are going to be the leader of this restaurant. You understand? Let's say I'm the leader of the family, but in what capacity? Delegate the responsibilities. I'm the leader in the family in the sense of, you know what? When we in the community forum, I speak for us. You gotta have a real responsibility. I speak for us. When it comes to let's say in the house of let's say what electronics, what we should buy, what we should so maybe she'll speak for us. What we gonna eat? Maybe I'm like, man, we want another piece of steak. I want another piece of steak with milkshake. Steak with ice cream. I want steak and ice cream. She's like, no. Listen up here. When it comes to what we gonna eat, I got to say. I'm the leader. I'm the captain. You understand? So a family leader does not necessarily just mean one person, is what I'm saying. Just like a community leader is not just going to be one person. The national leader is not going to necessarily be just one person. The race leader is not going to be, it's going to be a collective, it's going to be its own group. You're the family leader, and it's going to be a group with delegated responsibilities, or a group with equal say. To say, like, maybe the family leaders might just be the two parents, might just be the grandparents, might just be the patriarch, might just be the matriarch, and it's your choice. It's your choice. The only thing is this: what we expect from individuals in positions of leadership is that they've been through the BOCO and they've been through WASEC. And if not, obviously, because a lot of us have not been through BOCO or WASEC because we're establishing it, right? But if not, then they have an established code of conduct. And that's where it comes in. I hope y'all enjoyed that. It's a mouthful. Are y'all enjoying this? I'm gonna be like Bitter and say, if y'all like this, put a 1 in the chat. If y'all like this, put a 1 in the chat. You know what I'm saying? If y'all like this, put a 1 in the chat. So the next thing is chapter on Cobia. Okay? So on Cobia is one of the first concepts I developed in the Pro-Black Compendium. Right? And probably should be earlier in the book. So I'm thinking I'm probably taking too long to get into the idea of Uncobia. Maybe not. Who knows? Uncobia is promoted as the highest stage of African consciousness. Okay? And many notable African-American scholars have already adopted the Akan term. Okay? So the notable ones is obviously, remember Ani and Amos Wilson. If y'all didn't know, they were talking about Ancobia back in the day. Right? That's where I got the term, matter of fact. Remember Ani, right? So what I can say about it is this. The book in general is how realistically... No, what I can say about it, and the book in general, is how realistically it's akin to ethnicity, right? You're forming your own new tribe. That's what we're doing. See, many African ethnicities are social constructs, and creating a new one is as African as Yoruba or Zulu. Each is a philosophy group, so constructing a philosophy is ethnic. And so what does that mean? Oren Miller introduces Yoruba to a people. He says, hey, look, man, this is the Odu Ifa. This is the Odu Ifa. We're going to follow a new code of conduct. And this code is going to value women. It's going to value men. It's going to value industry. It's going to value social cohesion, social coordination, social organization. It's what I just fucking said. It's what I just fucking said. Same with Shaka, Zulu. And no, Shaka didn't create the Zulu people, obviously, but a lot of people were converted to Zuluism, and they adopted Shaka's philosophy. You know what? We're not going to be a weak people. We're not going to be a weak race. The white man's not going to be able to conquer us. We are going to be able to... We're going to fight to survive. We're going to fight to kill. We're not going to play fucking games. We're going to fight and annihilate. We're going to be able to defend our border. We're going to take warfare seriously. That's Shaka Zulu. Well, you might say, well, Shaka was the Zulu word, established people, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. What about Angola? I mean, Nzingma's people. I can't remember the name of the group at the moment, but this was the people that were just invented. Or Dahomey, they were just invented. Social constructs to say, how can we defend ourselves against the colonization and invasion of Africa? How do we defend ourselves? And now that we are decolonized as a people, we have to again assert ourselves in another ethnic, tribal framework, saying, "Hey, look, we as an African people, we're going to have a high consciousness, a high mindedness, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to be a people." And if some people are just dilly dallying and playing around, that's okay because they're still our people. Because at least they're not in the way of our leadership. They're not in the way of the leadership. Yeah, you and Uncobia too. Sure. You want to sit, drink, eat, sleep, fuck around, whatever. You still one of my people because if nothing else, you giving your taxes to our cause. So you still my people. You're still my people. And as long as you are reciting, let's say my code or whatever, as long as you're still reciting the code of conduct as articulated, you good. And here's another thing. So, like I said, in the Book of Power, no, in the Pro-Black Opinion, I reprinted this. The my cardinal values. I think I even reprinted this in the Pro-Black Opinion, right? Because one of the things about the Pro-Black Opinion was that a brother told me, he said, "You got all this stuff on your website. Why don't you just put it in the book?" And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like that's why a lot of things on the website is doing in the book. But here's this: Yoruba philosophy of self-development, right? I saw this in 2011. You see the date, right? Look at this. The Aleshe, I said copied here, so I gave you guys the website. But apparently, that's the thing about when you have a like anything online. Like this was online in 2011. That website's gone now. So I was able to preserve some stuff. Y'all don't even know this, but I was able to preserve this too. Look at this. Amos Wilson's last interview. This is like one of the most popular things on my website. And apparently I'm now quoted in on Amos Wilson's Wikipedia page because of this, But anyway, yeah, in 1995 he gave an interview. But look, so Yoruba philosophy of, and when did I put this up? I put this up in 2012. And like whoever had it before me probably no longer even has it up. Let me see. Excerpt from, I don't know if I even... I think I put the website before. I don't know what happened. See, my curiosity is that, like, I don't know what happened. But all right. So anyway, so look, Yoruba philosophy. So the Alashe, Ifa, like composure, respect, patience, caution, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. 13 guidelines for self-development. There is to be No practice of wickedness. Those who sow the seeds of wickedness plant them upon their children. Ashes fly back in the face of those who throw them. There should be no stealing. Even if a man does not see, Dumare sees. Right? Even if, like I think yesterday, homegirl was like, I shouldn't snitch, right? But homegirl was like, it's not a crime if you don't get caught, right? And so that's real. It isn't a crime if you don't get caught. You understand? That's a mindset that you're supposed to have. Now here's this. In the Yoruba, they're saying, look. Even if you ain't caught, Olodumare sees what you just did. So don't do it. Don't steal from your other brother. You understand? Now again, me as a African realist, I'm not going to tell you that Olodumare sees what you do. Okay? I might tell you that you see what you do. I might tell you that you're not making a good choice, but I'm not going to say, oh yeah, Olodumare sees. And that's the big difference. But regardless, there's not to be no selfishness. Those who are selfish will come to bear their load alone. I just want to get to the one that I remember the most, which is this one. There's to be a protection of the women. Women are the flowers of the garden. Men are the fence around them. Right? This is what Oren Miller introduces to his people. This is what Oren Miller introduces to his people. Now, obviously, this is not the Odu Ifa itself. This might be somebody's summary of the Odu Ifa. I don't know. Right? I actually don't know. But my point being, I don't know anymore. Like, okay, this was like 10 years ago. I don't know. Like, I could have been, like, when I first saw it, I might have been like, yo, this is, shit, okay. But now I'm just kind of like, I'm much older. You know what I mean? Like when you have kids, right? Shit changes. Like, your life changes. So it's not like you remember everything you did in your youth. You suddenly, have a child, But anyway, this is what I'm saying. Look, there's to be chastity and respect to mates. Man do not seduce another man's wife. Woman do not seduce another woman's husband. Right? That kind of stuff. So you have a philosophy group. Because today we say, hey, the Yoruba are ethnicity. The Yoruba are a tribe. We say that. But we have to understand, hey, look, realistically, Oren Miller just came through and said, yo, guys, what about if we didn't seduce each other's family? What about if we didn't steal from each other? What about if we didn't have hypocrisy? What about if we practiced something better? And now we look at Yoruba as a people. And so you can make a people too. It's about as African as like I said, Yoruba or Zulu. We're going to keep going. Chapter multinationalism. So, and chapter realism. So I was going to make a chapter on multinationalism. I was going to make a chapter on realism. But I realized that don't even make no sense. Let's put them in the Ancobia. As to say multinationalism in the sense of we're not going to stick to one nation. And realism in the sense of we're not going to necessarily say Olodumare. You know what I'm saying? Seeds. We're going to say, look, make a good choice. Because, like, make a choice towards your the collective, towards the group. You know what I mean? If I'm stealing from my neighbor, right, the group suffers. You understand? The group suffers. And I could break down why. Because you might say, hey, look, if I have a shovel, if my neighbor has a shovel and I have the shovel, what happens is this. Now all of a sudden my neighbor has to be on guard and be paranoid and be on the lookout and be suspicious. And suddenly the value of our, and then all of a sudden he has to hoard his things and hide his things from his neighbor and knows that nobody's looking out for him, and instead everybody's looking towards his stuff. What that just messes up the whole vibe of the life, health, and wealth. Or if they have a deficit, if you took a lot from them, they all of a sudden have to take a lot from more other people. They can't trade on the same level. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, tomorrow she's there for you. No, I'm gonna tell you, break it down. And this is the kind of deep thinking that we have to have as a people. But I'll continue. So I'm not gonna go into multinationalism, realism, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I just said multinationalism. Don't just be one day. Like you see my profile. Tanzania, South Africa, Ghana, Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? I think I was supposed to put another one, but my name is too long already. I don't know which one was I going to put, but it doesn't matter. My point is, you don't even just be one nation, right? But chapter realism, realism again, just keep it real. But now I see how it wouldn't fit into the larger theme. right? These two philosophical strains should be added to the last chapter on the Oncobia, of the ethnicity and the ethnic beliefs that we should have as a people, right? Therefore, we skip to chapter Swahili, or more suitably, chapter Kiankobia, i.e., again, a new language. Now, I'm not saying that African people were just making new languages up. I think all languages might be dialects, and dialects become a little bit more popular, especially with the assistance of literature. But pretty much, just take the Arab words out of Swahili, put in some African words. Let's call it another language. Let's call it the language of the Oncobia. Period, pretty much. So what is the purpose behind language except for economy, politics, culture, and ethics? With the ability of AI, language is more accessible, yet also it's best to construct one language for the purpose of Pan-Africanism. That construction was already outlined in the Book of Power. So if you already know, we're just going to expand upon language development in the Book of Power. That was already explained in the Book of Power. Matter of fact, let me see something. I just realized I asked people if they liked. Oh, okay, one person. So only one person is liking this, but that's fine. Reparation Nation said, "Do you open panel discussion streams? Do you do open panel discussion streams?" So last night, Shoot the Breeze was the open panel discussion. So you should definitely come through. Oh, I don't know if you can because it's probably late in the UK, but that's really open panel discussion. I would do it, but the trouble is this: like, I don't know if y'all know, but like it's going to take a big long time. My podcasts already take a long time. I could probably do an open. Oh, I sometimes have an open forum, occasionally, but like I already know. Like for instance, right here we got forecasts coming through. A forecast will come on most of the time and be like, I'm gonna have a short podcast. But as soon as you open up the forum, that jump become, not jump, but that thing become long as fuck. Like, and, sometimes you can't even go through all the stuff you want to do. So like I could. But I probably wouldn't do it for the Warship, But like usually I'm only here once a week anyway. But if if I'm not here once a week, I might do a book. But here's the trouble: one time I did a book, and I had an open forum, and we couldn't get through the book, And so sometimes, like if somebody's logging on to like hear about the book, like they don't want to necessarily hear anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they barely even want to hear me, let alone. Just like a whole side conversation on, like, let's say relationships or something, what I'm saying? On a philosophy book. But yeah, forecast, what's up, man? What up? All right, so then we're going to go to the next one. So the next one, this was the one I just wrote today, which is, okay, it says chapter history. So let's just frame, now, when we talk about good choices versus bad choices, right? We're talking about, like, let's teach. Like, I realize after you got people's ears and you already gave them some good advice on personal finances and money management and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, all of a sudden, you can start talking about history. And we can start talking about framing the history of Africa and actually the world as a series of choices. And even conflicting choices may be apropos, right? Let's say that some people are choosing one thing, and other people are choosing another thing, and they squabble, then they fight. Then they go to war. You know what I'm saying? So maybe here will be a place to introduce different interesting individuals across the modern world and not limited to Africans. So I'll say maybe like 20 Asians, 20 Europeans, 40 Africans, right? And now that I think about it, there are not only 3 races, there were 5, but I don't even know the Australians and the Native Americans, So maybe I could probably include them as well in some capacity, maybe 10 each, so that's probably a good idea, 10 20 20 40 and the reason why I put 20 for Europeans because I want to include those Europeans like Hitler and Stalin and Lenin, and so on and so forth, and let's say Putin and Xi Jinping and Mao and so on and so forth, but I also want to include Africans like Nzinga. And, there are some examples of, like, say, the Congolese. In the Congo situation, they have, like, they had a choice, or even, like, if you guys read the Pro-Black Compendium, we talk about Hannibal and the neighboring country, I think it's called Nubicia, something like that, or Nucidia, something like that. But they betray Carthage. And what happens is that eventually Rome conquers Carthage, and then it conquers their country. And it's like you have a choice. And it goes throughout our story. So the value of a good choice is not to be underestimated. But that said, that's actually the last part of this podcast. So if anybody has any questions or concerns or comments, now is the time. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to. Oh, that's the reason why I don't go too long, is because at least when my son is not here, I have to get off in order to pick him up, kind of thing. Well, not pick him up, but is what it is. But other than that, that's all I really got to say. I appreciate everybody for coming through. It looks like I probably shouldn't say. I always tell you guys how many I've had at most, but yeah, about 6 people was the top number, so that's pretty good for me. You know what I mean? You wouldn't believe I was this old podcast series. You wouldn't believe that if I didn't tell you. You wouldn't believe that I had articles going back 10 years based on, and I still only at most get 6 people, but it's 6 excellent people. You know what I mean? It's 6 wonderful, beautiful people, and so I learned from, like I said, my ancestor, Alton Maddox, who said, "Look, you got even one person, that's the best thing." Forecast says I came in at the end. My bad. No, it's all good. Hey, it's all good. You know what I mean? Because again, like people say, it's early, and I kind of picked this time just to interrupt people's church schedule. I don't know if y'all go to church or not. I don't think Forecast go to church, but I picked this time just to interrupt people's church. I said, look, you gotta choose me or the church. And black folk were like, I'm going to church. You know what I'm saying? So that's all me. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Anyway, appreciation for everybody for coming through. And obviously, Shem Htp, Anku Ja, Seneb Neb, Amin, Ma'at, Dua, Netra.